Welcome to the Real Voices podcast, where we explore the personal journeys of real estate professionals through their own unique challenges and successes. Real Voices is brought to you by Equitable Title and Escrow, providing a better approach to title and escrow through team support and innovative services. Welcome to another episode. We have another great guest with us. We have Dalton Osmanski.
You got it.
All right, man.
You made it through it, the hardest part.
I appreciate that. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having
taking
me.
the time. We tried to get you on a couple of weeks ago. Had some things that we had to rearrange, but we appreciate you showing up.
Yeah, we're here. Ready
Thanks.
for it.
Awesome. So we had a little bit of time to chat over while we were waiting to set up here, but sounds like you've been in the industry for about 4 years now.
Yeah, about.
And who are you with? Who are you?
I'm with Realty One.
Okay.
We're located out in Goodyear, Arizona, and I've been there for 4 years, my whole career in real estate.
Okay. And in the beginning, you said you kind of was you said soft realtor. Why did you start that way? What kept you from jumping right in the game?
Yeah, I went to college, and so I studied accounting and finance, and I thought it was really important to go work in that field to get a good base understanding of, basic taxation and just accounting in general. That way I could help my clients do, really understand like the whole investment aspect in regards to like real estate. And so, did that full time, working long hours, and didn't really have enough time to, by the time I got home, wasn't able to go show, or, it was a really hard transition. And so I decided that, I was going to just focus on my career at those firms. And then when the time came, I would, work on my savings and, be able to transition and give my full effort into real estate.
Awesome. Hey, I appreciate you mentioned some things. First of all, just the saving and preparing for it. I had just a lunch prior to this, speaking with a little bit of a seasoned agent, and some of the things we talk about is when new agents come in, they don't realize that this is not a job, but it's a business, and you have to invest in it.
Absolutely.
It takes money. So talk to me from that point of view. What was your strategy, I guess, to how did you save money? How did you prepare? What did you do? What was your life like?
Yeah, so, I made the sacrifice to continue living with my parents. I know, a lot of young adults, want to move out of the house, get their own apartment, have their own lives kind of thing. Didn't buy a fancy car, kept my old car that I had in high school. And so I was able to save like more than 50% of my income. And, the reason I did that was because I wanted to become a real estate investor and, have enough money in my pocket that, when I did make the jump full time, that it didn't matter if I lost one client or two clients or, whatever it was, that I was able to, continue doing this one thing that I loved, which is, being a real estate agent and an investor and just kind of like a general advisor. So, commuted from my parents' house in Goodyear to downtown Phoenix, long drive, got to listen to some really great podcasts. And, Bigger Pockets is one of those that kind of shaped my life as far as like the real estate investing aspect. But, brought my own lunch to work, try to save whatever I can and, kind of work on, putting away X amount of dollars from that paycheck. And then, whatever else is left over, spend or use however you want, really go on vacation or, go buy a nicer car, I guess. But try to stay away from the debts.
Awesome. I appreciate that. I guess one of the things you mentioned is staying at home longer. Mm-hmm. In our society, that's just frowned upon. Kind of, it's the thing that you're a loser. Kind of the thought.
You're still with mom and dad.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's it's in every show and every joke, right? So how did you manage mentally to overcome that and deal with that just every day? What did you do?
Yeah, I think I had a vision that was bigger than any comment that could ever be made. And I mean, I knew that I was going to be a homeowner sooner than later. And so I actually, before, even like leaving my parents' house, I actually wanted to live in like a fourplex, live in one of the units, rent out the other three, have my mortgage paid for, because people they think their house is an asset in the beginning, which it's really a giant liability because it's not producing any income for you, and it's guaranteed to be there for the next 30 years, 25 years, whatever the mortgage is, and if they refinance, even longer. So I thought it was really important to try to eliminate those debts. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad in high school, just totally changed my life, put words into like what I was thinking and feeling, and so wanted to do the house hacking that way, chose a different route later in life just because with the properties I was finding, I have not high standards, but enough standards that I was like, hey, I don't want to, go live on this part of town or whatever
Right,
it was. And
right.
so, just didn't align, and that's totally fine. Sometimes it doesn't.
Great stuff in there. You said the house hack, right?
Yes.
So talk to the audience just briefly. What is that? What is that for us?
Yeah, so house hacking is kind of using your house as a way to invest. So one way you could do it is, live in the house, improve it. So, if it's a little outdated, upgrade the kitchen, upgrade the flooring, do some of the work yourself, or you can hire somebody too. But while you're living in it, kind of improve it, because then you're getting the value up. And then one day when you sell, if you wait 2 years, you're going to pay zero tax on it because of the tax laws. Or, you can basically put 5% down, let's say that's how much it takes to get into a house at this time. You put 5% down, you move out in a couple of years, now you have your first rental property and only have 5% down. So there's a ton of ways to like house hack. I mean, it's either, buying a house as well, getting some roommates, somebody's paying your rent, you're still, improving the house. I mean, there's so many ways that you can really do it. And so I've even seen people, rent out the other rooms on Airbnb.
Right.
And so it can be really creative, and it's just basically trying to offset that big liability in your life so that you can use your money to get closer to financial freedom.
Awesome. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So what are your clients? Who are you serving right now, and how do you reach them?
It's hard to put a blanket over everyone. I'm helping buyers, I'm helping sellers, investors. So I wouldn't say I have a favorite in any of them. I love working with all of them. There's no better feeling than finding somebody their first house, or, selling their house and, helping them transition into, their forever home or whatever it is, or, getting somebody their first investment property. I remember, the feelings from when I got my first. I was like, oh my gosh, we finally did it, so excited. But so I would say, ages range, all types of people, really. It's hard to, say this person or that person, because everyone has differences.
Okay. Are you buying leads right now, or is it more organic? How does that work for you?
I would say it's organic. When I first got started in real estate, it was paid because I, had this thought in my mind that I needed to be spending money to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where that got planted, but it happened. But now I actually just focus on, reaching out to people on Facebook, contributing to my community. And I've actually had a lot of outreach just from, marketing my properties that I have for clients too. So I would say I've kind of transitioned away from the paid. I still do paid. If you Google me, you'll find me. But,
Right.
You have to be in as many places as possible. And so lots of my business is referrals, past clients, people that I wasn't able to help, but, they had a good experience at the end of the day, and, it just didn't work for whatever reason it was.
Right.
But, they felt compelled to refer me out as well.
Cool. So your days as an agent, what does the majority of your day, what is that filled with?
I would say the majority of my day is filled with showings, responding to emails, writing offers, just kind of being there, answering clients' questions, whether it's, has my home value changed, scheduling, the future showings, or even listing appointments and stuff like that. So it varies by day. And, there's always the organic, getting on Facebook, making posts, commenting on other people's posts. But for the most part, yeah, it varies.
Okay. It's many hats, right?
It is a lot of hats, yeah. That's one thing that a lot of agents that start out don't really understand, is there are so many duties in the beginning that you're not able to, you're just changing hats left and right. And so it's just a matter of, finding systems and ways to make it more efficient. And so I've definitely used a lot of technology to make my life a little bit easier, whether it's, one software that allows me to post on multiple, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever it is, and kind of schedule it so I'm not on it every day, and just, a couple hours a day or a couple hours a week, just kind of block that time to go make those posts and stuff like that.
I'd like to ask you about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Some of the tools that I try and share with folks, and using myself as well, like the scheduling for Facebook. Do you find that those posts have less, engagement than your organic posts? Do you ever see that?
So with my organic posts, I've actually been doing something cool, as far as like most of it's writing, and it's just telling the story and how that relates to real estate. So like if there's something that comes up in my day where it's like, the buyer's offer didn't get accepted, but like there was something else totally unrelated that happened in my life that kind of relates to that, like I'll write the story. And it doesn't matter how long it is. It can be, an essay. I try to stay away from that because I don't want to take everyone's, time in their day. But I've noticed that those have actually done pretty well, and it's kind of cool because I feel like a lot of things are just pictures, and it's so easy to just scroll right past. But when you see something and you see people engaging in it, it's nice to stop for a minute and like be told a story instead. Because I do love reading, and so anytime I can promote reading in any way, shape, or form, it's cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I've kind of just noticed that myself too. I'm like, there has to be something to that, but you can't really spend all your time posting organically, right? You'd be on there all day.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty impressed by, going back to just your ability to, save 50% and, do all the little things that you're taught in the books, right, to do, especially as a young person. So was that something that you learned from your parents? Where do you feel like you got that from?
I feel like my parents were the ones that inspired me to be a real estate investor from an early age, because they would live in a house and do house hacking.
Okay.
And so in 2002, they were building a new house, and they basically, I don't want to say they ran out of money because that's not true, but like they realized that instead of paying somebody, they could just do the work themselves and like learn the trades. And so they, when their free time, started hanging drywall or whatever it was. And so I would give a hand because I was the oldest and the only boy. So they're like, here's a hammer, right? So, that's kind of how I got started in, real estate was, learning some of the trades, and I just fell in love with it. And then we moved in a couple of years and did it again. And, I started getting better and better at this. And so, but I also understood the reason why they were doing it. And so, the house hacking was something that has been in my blood since as far as I can remember, really. And so, a lot of it has to go to, both my parents. My dad's a very finance-oriented man. So, I grew up in Chicago, and we ended up moving to Arizona because he, mentioned like, hey, in-state tuition in Illinois is, minimum $20,000 plus room and board. And he's like, I don't know how long you'll be in debt, but it's going to be it for a minute. So he's like, he works for United Airlines. And so he's like, I can, change my job. My mom was unemployed at the time, and he's like, we can go to any of these states and get in-state tuition for $10,000. He's like, by the time you get out, you're not going to have that much debt. And so that's actually how we just stumbled across Arizona, because, him working outside, he was tired of the winter and, can't shovel sunshine, as they say. So we ended up out here, and it's been great ever since.
That's interesting. In-state tuition.
Yeah, who would have thought that's what brought me out here, was just, inexpensive college, and not to discredit the universities or anything, because they were great. Yeah. And, loved going to Northern Arizona University, and learned, from professors in smaller classes that just really genuinely cared about, where you were going and trying to get you there. So we wouldn't change it for the world. Yeah.
There's something to that. Yeah. Man, that's interesting. What parents do and why we make those choices and things for our children, right? For our children.
Yeah, my friends' parents weren't doing the same thing, but my dad was like, if you want to get ahead in life, you might have to, move out of state and do this. And we all still live here today. So, and we actually have some family that's moved out here too, which is kind of cool. And back in May, I sold one of my aunts a house in Buckeye, so that's kind of cool.
Awesome. So, your sisters, did they pick up the same things, same traits, or what? You can say what you want about your siblings, but just thinking about that.
I would say my one sister, she's a CPA, so she has experience. She actually has invested in some properties with me, and same with my younger one. She doesn't have as much of an interest in real estate, but she loves more of like the design aspect. So I think she's going to be more in line with like house hacking. So finding a house, working on it, having my dad teach her some of the trades, or me getting over there with a hammer, helping her. Where my other sister is more of a numbers-based person, and so not to say she can't hit a hammer. I know you can, but it's just they have their differences, and there's nothing wrong with either of that.
It's interesting. I just love to see how that all works out with the different siblings and things. So, just thinking about your childhood and the lessons that your family gave you. What do you think the greatest lesson that you've taken away, and maybe not from your parents, but just in general as a kid, something that stuck with you?
I would say have goals and stick with them. There's going to be a lot of people that try to persuade your goals because they weren't able to, get them themselves. And, would you rather shoot for the stars and land amongst the moon or whatever it is, right? So I set really big goals for myself. I haven't been met them just yet, but I am getting closer every day, and so I think that's kind of cool. That if I would have set for a lower standard and not got there, would have made a big difference in my life. Probably not, but because I shot for bigger goals, I had to set bigger solutions and try to figure it out. So definitely have surpassed anything that somebody has ever said. Hey, you should go make this your realistic goal, because flip 4 homes in a year, and most people would say that that's not possible. So
that's pretty good for sure. Pretty
yeah.
Good. So just thinking, with your goals and things that you've been able to overcome in your life, what is a struggle that you're like, yes, I conquered that one, and I'm glad I had it.
I used to struggle with time management. Okay. So, telling somebody I was going to be, across town, and this isn't even from like real estate. This is just in general. Right. Not, and always staying later than I should have because I just love talking. I love, hanging out with people. And so if, I had 2 plans in a row, it was always hard. So, kind of setting the expectations up front, like, hey, I can only be here for an hour or 2 or whatever it is. And kind of sticking with that because, it's got consequences going down the road. And so from that, I've tried to become more responsible and reliable for that matter. And so, that's kind of what got me, I guess, a solution to that.
That's cool. Yeah, I struggle with that one myself. You saw that today. I'm always there's 10 minutes or so that's right there. So yeah, that's a great one, and especially in the industry that we're in. Mm-hmm. Those 24 hours. They're free for us to do whatever we want to do with them, and so having structure. So what do you do or what have you done to make that structure in your life?
I would say time blocking is probably one of the most important things. So, having my schedule, putting time blocks, whether it's for social media, listing, showings, and kind of really putting emphasis on all of those and the reasons why that they're on that specific day. Because, if I wait till like Friday to make all my social media posts, well, then I don't have anything for Monday through Friday. Or if I do showings on a Monday, but they're not, accepting offers till Sunday, well, is that home still going to be there? There's all these questions. So really, just focusing on my schedule, putting everything in it, whether it's a big event, small event, and, just really staying on top of it and not being like, a massive schedule or anything before. So it's been a nice adjustment, and then also finding the technology that can help me, I guess, manage all those hats, whether it's, outsourcing something to somebody else or, just rearranging my schedule so I can do more showings in less time, all those kinds of things.
Yeah, time blocking. Train on that and teach myself that.
So we're still working on it.
Right. I was going to ask you, like, how long was it before that you actually went from time blocking to sticking to the time blocking? What was that like for you?
I think it took a couple months because I guess before that, I was just like, hey, I'll remember I have to go do one thing and, 2 weeks or whatever it is. And I still can't do that. But I think it took a couple months to like actually say like, hey, this is a reason why, because if I, miss that appointment on Monday, to go do something, then, that kind of domino effects into everything else. And so, if I want to achieve anything, it's a matter, whether it's, help more people buy homes and more people sell homes, like it's just a matter of, blocking that time and actually staying with it, because if not, I'm going to get off track. And, you have to be your own mentor and kind of own, guidance sometimes. And so I thought that was, it was just time for me to like really evolve and really focus on that. I thought that was going to help my business get to where it needs to be and kind of where it's at right now. So
makes sense. Yeah, again, struggling with that too. I'm like, that's okay. That's on the calendar.
I'll show you my calendar. Just kidding.
I got all these colors on mine too. I'm like, it looks fun.
No, I like the tie.
Thank you. So, you mentioned earlier that you enjoy reading and making sure people can read whenever they want. Is there a book that you always go back to, or that you preach on? What's that for you?
It's going to be Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Okay.
I think it's such an easy book to read. It's actually the first book that I've ever read in like 3 days. Before then, wasn't much of a reader in high school. Most of the books that they gave me, I wasn't really interested in. And then I picked that one up, and I actually don't even remember how it was introduced to me, because it wasn't like my parents or anything or a friend. I was like the first one to read it, and then after that, everyone like had a copy. I was like, I don't care if you can afford it or not. Here's a book. And I thought that it really, like I said, put those words or like the feelings in my heart like on paper, and was easy for everyone else to explain because I wasn't doing a good enough job of explaining like, hey, this is what I want to accomplish. And then I read the book and I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. So I was like, here's a copy so you can understand me, kind of thing. And so it's a really quick read, really well written, and actually Robert Kiyosaki lives in Scottsdale, and one day I was like driving through the Biltmore for something, and he rolled up next to me in his Rolls Royce, and I was like, oh my gosh, there he is. I've never seen him before, and now he's
funny.
like living the dream, and I thought that was really cool.
That's funny. That's cool. That is cool.
Yeah.
He's actually driving what he says right now.
Yeah.
I got it.
He is a rich dad.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome. So you have any kids?
I don't. No.
Okay. Not there. Okay, well, let me ask you.
I've only been married for like 2 months. So.
Oh, no, yeah, good. It's okay. It's all right. There's time. I like to, just talk to people about their family, like, something that your wife or your kids would say that you're always harping on or preaching on. If I were to ask your wife that, what would that be? Something that you're always saying?
That real estate's the best investment ever.
Okay.
Probably.
Right.
I think it's one of those things that I've loved it for such a long time, and I've seen it change so many people's lives, whether it's their first rental property, their first flip, their first house, and just something that I like truly try to push people into, because a lot of people might think that homeownership isn't possible, and there's definitely ways of making it possible. And so just want people to use the resources that are out there and educate them. And so when I met my wife 2 years ago, she was living in an apartment, had no interest in ever becoming a homeowner, and then when her lease was up, she bought her first house. And she was like, well, I have everything. I have a pool, I have a gym. And I was like, it's all costing you something, somewhere down the line. And sure, the mortgage is exactly the same, and she doesn't have a pool or a gym, but I'm like, you're getting to somewhere closer where it makes sense. So right. She's happy, and she's actually wasn't really handy when she grew up, and so now she's doing DIY projects probably right this very second. So it was cool to teach her how to use a saw. Now she doesn't need me, and
cool.
Every inch of our house has something new, which I love that for.
That is cool. Just to see the evolution of an individual, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just the changes. That's cool. What do you feel you're most proud of?
I think I'm most proud of for really chasing my dreams. I think real estate is something that has a very low success rate. I feel like most agents do not make it past their 5th year. When you start the business, you realize that almost everyone and their cousin is a real estate agent, and that can kind of be like heartbreaking in the beginning. And you think those people are the competition, but they're really not, because they don't stay around long. And so if I had given up or didn't have enough savings and really just knew that this was the right thing for me, then I probably wouldn't be here. But I'm so glad that I am, because I've seen a lot of people change, changed a lot of families' lives, and wouldn't regret not chasing that dream. So
right. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I had a
Thank you for having me.
Great time.
Good. Thank you.
Some things. People really can save 50%.
It is possible.
It can be done, children.
Even if it's with ramen noodles.
It can be done. It can be done. So I appreciate that. Where can the people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on doing a Google search. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram at Dalton the Realtor, and reach out anytime. Happy to answer any questions.
What about your phone number?
623-999-8188. So
all right.
super easy.
Easy number. Appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Thank you.